A close-quarters gun battle is hazardous enough, without the same bullets coming at you twice. From Hollywood heroes bouncing shots around corners, unsuspecting shooters getting a taste of their own medicine, and even insane multi-bounce mega ricochet trick shots that somehow never lose momentum. Hollywood loves a ricochet, and so does the internet. But how deadly is a bouncing bullet really?
Let's work the science. I'm Stu, this is Debunked, and we're here to sort the truths on the myths and the facts from the misconceptions.
The simplest Hollywood myth is the return to sender, a bullet bouncing straight back at the person who fired it. People sometimes think about bullet ricochets like a ball bouncing off a wall or a laser bouncing off a mirror. This so-called mirror fallacy would have us assume that a rebounding bullet will fly away at an angle equivalent to the angle at which it made impact.
In ballistics, however, this mathematically perfect ideal does not readily apply.
A ricocheting bullet will almost never depart at its angle of incidence. The reality is dictated by physical factors. The bullet's size, velocity, and hardness, combined with the unyielding nature of the surface it strikes. Also, unlike photons of light, bullets are chunks of relatively soft metal, usually a lead core in a copper jacket, which easily deform upon impact. This is by design. Their tendency to deform into irregular shapes upon impact cause bigger, messier, more lethal wounds. Grim but true. When a bullet strikes an unyielding surface, dead on, its immense forward kinetic energy has to go somewhere. If the surface it strikes will not give, that energy is transferred back into the bullet itself. This extreme force flattens the bullet, creating what is termed a lead splash, along with a shower of irregular fragments. Absolutely not Hollywood's intact, lethal 180-degree boomerang. When striking an unyielding surface in the real world, ricochets only occur when a bullet makes contact at a sufficiently shallow angle. Once we steepen the trajectory and cross what is known as the critical angle, the bullet will no longer bounce. It will simply shatter or embed. Surely then, a nice 45-degree angle of incidence will see the bullet bounce off at a roughly equal angle. Certainly is in movie land, where the near-perfect 90-degree deflection has been the best method for taking out baddies who are inconveniently located for many a decade. However, bullets ricocheting off a hard surface almost always depart at a lower angle than the angle of incidence. If a bullet strikes a surface at a shallow, glancing angle, it deforms and flattens on the side that makes contact. Instead of bouncing, this flattened leading edge catches the surface and aggressively steers the bullet into a much shallower exit path, sometimes as low as 1 or 2 degrees. Because of this, rebounding bullets have a tendency to skim parallel along the length of a wall rather than bouncing away from it. It's a phenomenon so well documented that law enforcement and military personnel are specifically trained to keep their distance from walls during a firefight. While it isn't technically true to say that a ricocheted bullet can go just anywhere,
oh God, sorry.
the many variables involved in a given situation make the angle of ricochet highly unpredictable, such that judging a nifty round-the-corner trick shot on the fly to hit an unsuspecting enemy just isn't realistic.
So, what types of shots do ricochet in the more cinematic sense? We'll discover that very shortly. Whether you're analysing terminal ballistics business or running your own production company, chaotic finances are exactly what you want to avoid. And that's why I'd like to introduce you to Odoo.
Odoo is an all-in-one business management software, providing more than 45 apps to run all your business, and their invoicing app takes out the unpredictability of getting paid. Instead of hunting down lost emails or bouncing between different spreadsheets, I can create and send a professional invoice in seconds. Simply identify your customer, add your services, set your billing terms, and fire it straight to the client's email. You can also keep track of your emails, notes, activities for each invoice straight via the chatter. Odoo makes the process easy on the customer end too. They will get redirected to a secure portal where they can pay online instantly using their preferred method. You can even connect your bank account to automate payment tracking. Your first app on Odoo is absolutely free for life, including unlimited hosting and support. Stop letting your payments ricochet around. Click on the link in the description and start managing your invoices for free with Odoo's One App Free plan. Okay, so you can't really pull off a deliberate ricochet trick shot, but surely if you're in an indoor shootout, you can just fire off a few rounds, have them ping-pong around a room, and eventually take out a baddie, right? Well, perhaps, but bouncing a bullet off a hard surface immediately causes a massive loss of kinetic energy. Ballistics boffins have studied this extensively, and it usually means that the ricochet drops well below the velocity required to penetrate human skin, and bouncing it more than once only slows it further. Aside from its velocity, when the larger surface area of the now flattened bullet does make contact with a soft, fleshy being, its energy will be spread over an equally larger area. This further reduces the amount it will penetrate.
Of course, none of this is to say that ricochets don't happen and are never dangerous. They just don't happen like they do in the movies.
If you're watching this video, then you'll already likely have seen this one. The bullet fired is a .50 caliber BMG full metal jacket at a makeshift 100-yard shooting range with an angled steel plate as a target. A brief moment after the shooter fires, a ricochet flies back in his direction and knocks off his ear protection.
Its authenticity is widely considered genuine. So, how deadly would this bona fide multi-ricochet have been?
The timing of the bullet's path from leaving the gun barrel and ricocheting twice before impacting the ear defenders allows us to work out its speed. An estimated 230 feet or 70 meters per second. According to Seminole ballistics expert Dr. Vincent de Maio,
in order for a missile to perforate the skin and enter the underlying subcutaneous tissue and muscle, a minimum velocity in the order of 70 meters per second, 230 feet per second, is necessary.
So we're hovering right on the edge of lethality here. However, a crucial detail is,
with an energy per area of presentation of approximately 2.1 meter kilograms per centimeter squared.
Meaning the energy required to break the skin depends entirely on the surface area of the impact. A pristine .50 BMG bullet is a concentrated dart. It only has a surface area of about 1.3 square centimeters, meaning it takes comparatively little energy to pierce the skin. But our ricochet? It smashed into steel, bounced into the dirt, and would have flattened out to at least twice its original size. This quadruples its surface area, and in turn quadruples the amount of energy required to just break the skin. Because the bounce stripped away its velocity, it lacked the massive energy needed to push that wide, flat surface area through the shooter's tissue. Instead, it would have delivered a hefty dose of blunt force trauma. While deliberate ricochet trick shots might not work like they do in Hollywood, very occasionally conditions can convene in just the wrong way. That accidental ricochet or bullet shrapnel injuries can occur, weirdly, with multiple instances involving armadillos. But even fatalities can happen, and ricochet deaths can be traced all the way back to 1934. During the assassination of King Alexander I of Yugoslavia, a bullet accidentally fired by French police ricocheted off the ground and hit accompanying French Foreign Minister Louis Barthou in the arm, fatally severing a vital artery.
But why was that specific ricochet so deadly? It comes down to bullet hardness.
The officer fired a military-style full metal jacket. Modern hollow points, like the ones carried by police and civilians today, are designed to flatten and shatter on impact, but a rigid copper jacket bullet reduces the amount it breaks apart. While the bounce definitely deformed it, the bullet held together, retaining more of its mass, and unfortunately, its lethal penetrating power.
Please subscribe, share and leave us a comment, and why not continue your learning journey with another Debunked on screen now. Stay curious, but safe, and we'll see you next time.